The United States numbered. For months, some politicians have been trying to ban the app in the country. It's getting its day in court at a hearing which could decide its fate. TikTok has until January to shed its parent company ByteDance. The firm will attempt to persuade a three-judge panel in a U.S. appeals court that the measure is unconstitutional. The law was passed earlier this year in response to concerns among politicians that the Chinese government could potentially exploit the data of TikTok's 170 million U.S. users.
3 West African countries run by military juntas will launch new biometric passports as part of their withdrawal from the wider regional bloc ECOWAS. The countries of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger are set to launch this joint service in the coming days. What is still unclear is how the new passports will affect the travel of their nationals to other ECOWAS states. US social media platform Meta has announced it's banning the Russian media outlet RT and other state-run media outlets. The Biden administration accusing them of acting as an arm of Moscow's spy agencies carrying out covert information warfare operations. The administration is currently imposing sanctions on the state-funded broadcaster that oversees RT. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his Italian counterpart Giorgia Meloni agreed to intensify efforts to combat human trafficking. They're meeting here in Rome, Mr Starmer praising Ms Meloni for what he called remarkable progress by Italy for its work on tackling illegal migration. The Prime Minister also announcing hundreds of millions of dollars in Italian investment in the UK, saying he was opening a new era for the UK and Italy in terms of their relations. And a public inquiry has begun here in the US looking into the Titan submersible disaster last year in which 5 people lost their lives. The vessel owned by the US company OceanGate imploded on a visit to the wreck of the Titanic, prompting international search and rescue efforts. As many as 10 OceanGate employees are expected to testify over the next 2 weeks before the Coast Guard's Marine Board of Investigations. Let's take you to live pictures that we're getting right now from Texas. Firefighters have been battling a pipeline fire. You can see them focusing on some of the houses nearby, which are not at risk, we can tell you, but there have been pillars of fire going tens of feet into the air. A park and power poles have been ignited nearby, and people have been told to evacuate. What we don't know yet is the cause of the fire, but no injuries have been reported. And what we can't tell you either, Energy Transfer is the company. They've got no estimate for how long it's going to take for the pipeline, the residual fuel, to run out. It could take several hours.
This morning's newspapers, shall we, at 23 minutes past 6. We're starting with the Mail today and Hugh Edwards' sentencing, featuring heavily on the front pages. Disgraced, reviled, not a day in jail, headlines the Daily Mail.
The Times this morning has the story we're leading on to, the fact that junior doctors have accepted the government's offer of a pay rise of 22.3%, bringing an end to what it calls the most devastating dispute in NHS history. We'll talk about that on the programme today.
Daily Telegraph leads on Sir Keir Starmer defending accepting gifts, including clothes for his wife Victoria, from a millionaire Labour donor who was later given a pass to access number 10. Yesterday, Downing Street said the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner would not be investigating the matter. Alongside the story, the paper features a photo of Victoria attending London Fashion Week in an outfit, it says, was lent to her by a designer.
Plans to pedestrianise Oxford Street have again been proposed by London's mayor. Previous schemes have been blocked, but this time Sadiq Khan says he has the backing of the government, which will designate a mayor's development area. He hopes the project will make Oxford Street the leading retail destination in the world. And there will be more on this across the morning on BBC Radio London. Now, urgent blood samples at a London hospital could soon be delivered by drones. Medics at Guy's and St Thomas's NHS Foundation Trust will run a pilot scheme where drones will be used to courier blood samples between both hospitals. The scheme starts this autumn and is expected to last 6 months.
At least 8 people have been killed and almost 3,000 injured in Lebanon after handheld pagers explode simultaneously. The pagers used by members of the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah to communicate instead of mobile phones exploded right across Lebanon this afternoon. This is the scene outside Beirut's main hospital tonight, which is being inundated with the injured. Hezbollah says Israel is to blame. Also tonight, a man appears in court charged with the murders of Carol, Hannah and Louise Hunt in a crossbow attack at their home in Hertfordshire. Instagram brings in teen accounts designed to keep children safe on its platform. And on the run in Shropshire, the capybara calls cinnamon the world's biggest rodent.
From this to this. We've heard it before, but now the Mayor says Oxford Street will be pedestrianised with the backing of the government.
I think this makes sense when you speak to the business and listen to them. When you speak to those who have left, when you speak to those who are currently here, I think they will say that Oxford Street, as wonderful as it is underperforming.
Well, we'll hear from businesses and residents in and around the area on both sides of the Oxford Street plans. Also ahead tonight, the parents who claim the needs of their deaf children are not being met at a primary school in East London. Plus,
join me in Regent's Park, where a new art trail is being unveiled, which you can see for free.
and we meet the lottery winner from Leatherhead, who's giving back to the community with crazy golf. Today's other news stories in and around the capital. A man's appeared in court charged with the murders of Carol Hunt and her two daughters, Hannah and Louise, after a crossbow attack. They were found fatally injured at their home in Bushey. 26-year-old Carl Clifford from Enfield was arrested after being found injured in a cemetery the following day. A former Metropolitan Police officer has been jailed for 40 months after using the bank details of dead people to buy electronics worth hundreds of thousands of pounds. Mohammed Mustafa Dar, who's 39, previously pleaded guilty to 2 charges of misconduct in public office following a corruption investigation. And services through London Bridge have been severely disrupted today due to a trackside fire at Brockley in south-east London. Lines were closed and services part suspended due to damaged cables and signalling equipment. Passengers are advised to make their journeys via Victoria instead. Just before we go, a 500-year-old knitted hat has been found by a mudlarker on the Thames. You never know what you're going to find on the banks of the river. Experts say it survived because of the mud in the river, and it's due to go on display next year at the London Museum in Docklands, and will sit alongside other items including a medieval gold ring and clay pipes.